everyone, it's Daisy or Paralytic Process, depending on what you'd like to call me, from DeviantArt. Yay! Today is my first live reading and discussion about my poem Memo, and this is the first one in a list of poems that you have asked me to discuss, and I'm really excited because this way you get to know me as a reader, and I get to know you as an author, and we get to know each other better. I think it can be really scary for a lot of writers to discuss what their writing is about. Even for me, it's really hard because writing is so personal and it's so vulnerable. And I know I have the tendency to write in a way that I don't want people to get it. Because being vulnerable is scary. And no one likes to put themselves out there to be criticized for their feelings or whatever situation that they're writing about. First, I'm going to answer some questions that I get a lot. I get asked a lot what I write in or what I write with. I pretty much just write with a black pen, but I'm really particular about my pens when I write. I prefer ones with pointy tips, not rounded, and I prefer black gel ink. And I have pens specifically for writing. So I guess I'm a little OCD in that regard. I just like how it is smooth over the paper. And I always, I hope you can see it, I always write in my poetry journal first. Always. Any poem that you see on DeviantArt, I have probably revised it at least twice. I tend to write poems in my head before I put them on paper, which may sound weird to some people, but I'll totally write a complete poem before I put it on paper. And I think it's because I don't want to commit to the poem until I feel that it's mentally completed up here, or that I have a good idea about what the message is I want to convey. And all of my poems from 2015 are in this journal. Every single poem I've ever written, it's on paper. Even if it's on the computer, if that's all you write with, I hope you have good backup, because there's nothing worse than writing on the computer and then you losing all your data. So as you can see, this is Dog Song. This was a really popular one of mine. As you can see, it is tore up with edits and revisions. And I encourage you as a writer, to do that process. Sometimes, even for me, and I think I'm a pretty good writer, we can have an idea, and sometimes it's perfect the first time around, but many times it's not. And it's okay if it's not. Just be open to suggestions. Look at them later. Maybe an idea that you wanted to convey or a feeling you wanted to convey, you don't feel like you did it correctly the first time. Go back, revisit it. There's always more time to revise. So, as I said, I'm going to read Memo today, and I'm glad that I'm doing it because I also get a lot of questions about, well, what is the flow? Or it would be really interesting to hear what the poem is like. But in actuality, I write the poem just as it would sound. The structure, I realize, is really unique. A lot of people ask me why I do it that way. And that's so you as a reader, besides I think it looks cool, you can read the poem as I intended it to be heard, even if no one is saying it. So that's why I write in the style that I do. And it took many years of development before it reached this point that you see now. Um, I think I started writing in a semi-quasi kind of structure like this in like 2006. So that's 9 years ago, almost a decade of working on a revision of the same structure. So if you have a structure that you really love, but it's not quite there yet, just keep tweaking it. I mean, it took me almost a decade, so you have the time. Okay, so let's get started. Memo. I am barely a whisper. Dashed upon the rocks, I am a broken afterthought, shipwrecked, lonely, small. Equally bound by crushing expectation, I breathe in cold. My lungs are blood diamonds sold to the unblinking masses. A child, I grasped to dreams my little hands were not meant to hold. It can seem really heavy when you first read it. I know reading it out loud for the first time in a few days, there's weight there, and I think everyone relates to this poem in some way or another. And you might say, well, I don't really understand it. I'm going to break it down stanza by stanza, and you'll see that even on my best days, when I feel like I'm rocking it at writing, I have a lot of insecurities. We all have dreams, and I think a lot of times authors or writers, they want to be famous. They want someone to read their poem and say, oh my gosh, Daisy wrote that, and I love her, and I love her work, and I know all these other poems by her. And I think we all have that dream to some degree. And there are a lot of obstacles standing in our way to accomplishing our dreams. And that's what this poem is about. It's about feeling like you're never going to reach the top of the mountain. I am barely a whisper. How many times in your life have you felt invisible or like you're not making a difference in the world? What about when you tell people your dreams, but they don't seem to really care? That's what I opened up this poem with. I'm invisible. I don't want to be invisible, but I am. And that feeling, that sadness of thinking, the world is passing me by and I'm not really known to many people, that can leave you feel dashed upon the rocks. It's like I'm working so hard and I'm writing every day. I'm following Stephen King's advice and writing 6 pages a day, and I'm putting my work out there to literary magazines and DeviantArt, and at the end of the day you feel lonely and small. And I know I feel that way sometimes because I feel like I've been waiting forever to have the chance to actually pursue being a writer. Even though I've been writing 18 years, it wasn't until I graduated from grad school in December that I've really been able to sit down and focus on writing. And that's where the third stanza kind of comes into play. Equally bound by crushing expectation, I breathe in coal. My lungs are blood diamonds sold to the unblinking masses. There are so many opinions and societal expectations that feel smothering to me. When I first told my parents that I wanted to be a writer, I was a little girl. And instead of saying, wow, that's awesome, it was, well, you're going to starve because all writers starve and you're just better off going to college and having a traditional job, blah, blah, blah. And so I did. I went to college, I finished my bachelor's, then I finished my master's, and even though I published some scholarly articles, it's not really what I wanted to do. I love research, I love poetry more, and it was honestly crushing my soul because I didn't have a lot of time to just write. And now I have time, and I feel like I'm throwing everything into it, and progress is slow. And that can be discouraging, I think, for a lot of people. You know, some people are like, oh, I'm about to be 40, I'm about to be this age, I'm about to have a baby, I'm about to start this in my life. There's no possible way I can keep writing or keep pursuing it at the level that I am. And it makes us feel inadequate. But we shouldn't let society dictate to us what we can and can't do. And I think that's really one of the biggest messages of the poem, in a sense. Well, that sometimes society and people's opinions can just be crushing to us in our dreams. And when they're crushing and people are criticizing us for having dumb dreams, that's where you feel like a child. Well, at least I do. You know, a child I grasped to dreams my little hands were not meant to hold. What if my dreams are too big? What if I'll never be known as a writer? What if I never go on that special trip I've always wanted to take around the world? What if? Sometimes our dreams feel too big for us. And it can make us sad because we think to ourselves, we made these dreams so big, but I'm really not anyone special. Why would anyone want to read my work? Why would anyone care to hear about my opinions on something? And after I wrote the poem, even though I still struggle with feeling that inadequacy, I know that if I keep pushing and I keep working towards my goals, things will happen. And things will happen for you too. So don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on writing. Don't give up on reading. Because you just never know. Hard work has its dividends. It pays off. So that was the first poem, Memo. If you haven't read it yet, check it out. It's in my gallery, Time Speaks Loudest. And there will be more poems to come that I'll be discussing. I think the next one I will be discussing is Tachycardia. That seems to be a really big favorite, especially when it comes to dark imagery, tripping over his thinning skin and things like that. So if you have a YouTube video, feel free to subscribe. There's going to be a lot more videos, not just about writing and poems and discussions and things, but general shenanigans. I'll probably start doing ones about video games that are coming up, just to spend some time. And of course, talking to you guys. It really puts a smile on my face on days where I feel down, that you tell me, wow, this is a great poem. You did great on this. I would have never thought about this image. It really lifts my spirits on those days. So please, continue to give me your feedback, and thank you for taking the time to read. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.